Namaskar. Namaskar and welcome back to the Eikam series of the Gita on the go. The last time and through these last couple of conversations, we've established the difference between the Kshetra and the Kshetragya and the journey that transitions one from one to the other. From there, we went on to explore the idea of the Kshetra a little more and the engagement between the Paramatman and the Kshetra, which is linked through the gunas and how they are the ropes that drive life force and existence and manifest it. From there, we tried to understand the nature of the unmanifest, the nature of the Paramatman when we did the Purushottam Yoga. And from there, we established that the only nature of that unmanifest, of that great Brahman, the Paramatman, is Sat, Chit, and Anand. And how it expresses itself through knowledge and through the Ved, through the Vid, the Vidya. And from there, as I was exploring with Samir, and at this stage, Samir, welcome back to Gita on the Go. Namaskar. And so we were exploring with Samir the nature of who is this person who is able to make this journey from Tvam to Tat, from the Kshetra to the Kshetragya. What are the qualities? How does one really do this? We've spoken about contemplation, we've spoken about bhakti, we've spoken about karma, we've spoken about jnana. And all these are paths to that one supreme divine. We've also spoken about the need for the Ishvara, the tangible manifest that I can anchor myself in as I make this journey from the self to the that. Continuing this conversation as we get into chapter 16, which is the Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. The logical next question is that how do I make this transition? What do I need to do within me? See, what we've established all this while in the Bhagwad Gita is there's no counterparty. It's all about I, me, myself, mine. It's all down to just me.
Correct.
So what do I need to do with me, about me, of me to make this journey?
Okay. So I think two things here in trying to explain this. Firstly, I'm going to go back to this BMI chart that Swami Chinmayananda used to use. So what he would do is he would draw an Om, and then there would a big V, and under the V there would be a BMI, which is body, mind, intellect.
Yes.
The body is the perceiver, focused on objects. The mind is the feeler, focused on emotions. And the intellect is the thinker, focused on thoughts.
Yes.
What sheaths the Om, representing the Brahman, from the body, mind, intellect? It is the vasanas. Correct?
Yes.
The big V.
Yes.
And
the V were literally vasanas.
And that V, I mean, he obviously used V for that. And in my analogy is the Rasagulla.
Yes.
Correct? And now we also go back to the Hurricane Man.
Yes.
That Omkar, that light is there. It's just that I have layered it multiple times with multiple layers of my vasanas. So the whole process of Asi is to keep cleaning.
Yes.
Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa once was coming to Calcutta from Dakshineshwar. At that time, Dakshineshwar is now almost part of Kolkata, but it wasn't there.
Yes.
And he was in this horse carriage. And there was this panwala who was rubbing his पीतल का घड़ा, जिसमें कत्था रखते हैं. And I'm sure we have all seen this. They rub, right?
Yeah.
And after the end of it, it shines like gold. You can't make out whether it is gold or not.
Correct.
And Thakur saw that and he said, see, that's what we've got to do. You see, you've got to rub yourself till you shine. And remember, the next day you still will be tarnished and again you have to shine.
Yes.
I also remember this beautiful conversation. It's a recorded conversation, and Osho says this. Somebody asks him this, how long do I continue to meditate? And he says very beautifully, he says, आप शहर में रहते हैं? हाँ, शहर में रहता हूँ. आप कितने फ्लोर पे रहते हैं? तो 16वें फ्लोर पे रहते हैं. 16वें फ्लोर पे पानी कहाँ से आता है? तो ऊपर में टंकी है, ऊपर से टंकी से पानी आता है। टंकी में पानी कहाँ से आता है? तो नीचे से पंप किया जाता है। पंपिंग बंद हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा? टंकी में जितना पानी है उतना अल्टीमेटली ड्रेन आउट हो जाएगा। टंकी यदि बड़ी है तो थोड़ा टाइम ज्यादा लगेगा, टंकी छोटी है तो तुरंत ड्रेन आउट हो जाएगा। पंपिंग चालू रखो। तो अब सवाल यह है, the question then arises is, what do we pump on? Right? What are the things that we need to acquire? What are the things that we need to work on? And in the first verse in the Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, the first word of that particular chapter is abhayam. He says fearlessness. Now, I'd like to take you back to the Upanishad and says, when does fear arise?
When there is me and there is you.
Correct. My mother used to say, when we were small, and she would ask me to go to a particular shop or something, and then she would also tell me, उधर कोई नहीं है, सावधानी से जाना. And my natural question was, उधर कोई नहीं है तो क्या चीज से डरना? यदि कोई है नहीं तो डर किस चीज का?
Correct.
If there is two, there is fear. If there is one, there the fear cannot exist. Correct? Because I alone am. He starts with abhayam because that is the only reality. You alone are. Because you are Sat, you are Chit, you are Anand, you are Paramatma. And in the text called Vakyavritti by Bhagwan Sri Shankaracharya, he very clearly towards the end declares that if you go through this process, where his Vakyavritti is an analysis on this alone, on Tattvamasi, and he actually declares that you are that which you have been worshipping as God. You alone are God. It's not that God is within you. You are God. To do that, to reach that stage, you start with abhayam. Then he says, and I read from the translation, he says, purity of heart. What does purity of heart mean? Purity of heart basically says that I am established in reality rather than in that which is unreal. Because even the words used are sattva samshuddhi. Sattva, the word sat means what? Existence.
The truth, existence.
Existence. Then he says steadfastness. Now, just by Arjuna, just by being given the taste, has he become that Sat Chit Ananda?
No, on the contrary.
Right? So to be on that path, and we looked at that, right? Sufficiency, proficiency, consistency. So again, he comes back and says, you have to be steadfast. And then he says, okay, all that is internal. How do you act outside?
Yes.
Outside, he says, give. Give. Alms giving. Now he says, charity, dhanam. And it's been interpreted as alms in physical form. It's not.
But no,
it's giving. The nature of being, of giving.
Of a giver.
Right? Because even in the yajna, how does a yajna end?
Idam na mama.
Perfect. Idam na mama. This is not mine. This is not mine. What I am giving, right? There is what is called Atithi Yajna. You give to people, right? There is Deva Yajna, Rishi Yajna. Yajna, the act of offering. The English translation of Yajna comes out as sacrifice, which is not true. But it's actually the act of offering. And when you are offering, and with that sense that it is not mine, what have you done? You've removed that one thing that has held you back for 84 lakh yonis. The bhajan that you have been doing of aham mama, aham mama, aham mama. Born as a cockroach, aham mama. Born as a monkey, aham mama. Born as an elephant, aham mama. Me, mine, me, mine, me, mine. And until I can get rid of that, see, me, mine expresses itself in kama, desire, in krodha, anger. I mean, you've done a lot of study on anger. Why does anger arise?
Helplessness.
Helplessness. When do you feel helplessness? When there is two.
Yeah, when there is two, when I can't control you.
Correct. So there is I and there is you.
Yeah.
But if I and you are non-different, then is there a question of anger that arises?
What will I be angry about then?
Correct.
Then
right. So therefore, the Shad Ripu itself arises from this root cause of it is aham mama, I mine, I mine, I mine. When we get rid of that.
So I want to bring us back to the idea of philanthropy, since we touched on Dana there. what I have personally found very, very, very powerful about our text and our structure of philosophy, of philanthropy versus other faiths, is that whole idea that it's not prescriptive. And since you bring up fear, philanthropy is generally prescribed out of fear. अपने wealth का एक 10th part दो, नहीं तो भगवान will smite you and you will be smoten. या 25% ये करो, या जाके जख्त करो, whatever it is, right? The whole idea is that he who's there will be angry with you. Versus the way we've structured it, which is so beautiful, which starts from that understanding why human psychologist की हम बात कर रहे हैं तब से, from the basic human desire ऑफ ट्रेड, कि हम कुछ भी करें, हम बेसिकली एल्ट्रुइस्टिक नहीं, हम कुछ जो भी करेंगे वो किसी एक्सपेक्टेशन से करेंगे. एंड देयरफॉर आवर फिलैंथ्रोपी हैज बीन स्ट्रक्चर्ड टू मूव टू हायर लेवल ऑफ एक्सपेक्टेशन. तो आप दान देते हैं इन रिटर्न फॉर अ सेलेस्टियल विश बीइंग ग्रांटेड, कि मैंने ये मांगा था, आपने फुलफिल करा, या जब आप करेंगे तो मैं दान दूंगा, अगर ये विश फुलफिल हो जाती है, आई विल बी द हैंड ऑफ गॉड थ्रू विच दान इज डन, थ्रू विच गुड डीड्स आर डन. Similarly, जब हम दीक्षा देते हैं, dakshina, which is given in return for education, all the causes that make me. It is my gratitude and give back to the causes that make me. It may be my education, it may be my teacher, it may be an institute, whatever it is. वो dakshina होगी. And then there is bhiksha, since we were talking about pure charity. Bhiksha भी, भीख भी हम pure charity में नहीं देते. It is given in return for blessings, right?
So I'll hold you here for a minute, and we'll investigate on
Yes.
the nature of the types of even charity,
Yes.
or all these actions,
Yes.
in the next chapter.
Yes.
However, right here, there's one very important truth that we need to understand.
Yes.
See, he's brought the Daivasura Sampad, right?
Yes.
In the first three verses. He's told us that we start with fearlessness, then we talk of not being envious of others, we talk of being upright, he talks of having purity of heart, he talks of steadfastness, and a whole host of virtues that will actually be talking about, saying these are what you need to acquire.
Yes.
In the modern context, there is this whole paradigm which we talk about where we say, first get rid of the negatives. Now, the actual paradigm that Krishna talks about here is, you see, removal of negatives is not filling up the positives.
No.
Whereas filling up the positives automatically removes the negatives.
Okay.
Example, I bring in light.
Yes.
Automatically darkness has gone.
Yes.
If I try to remove darkness, you can't actually remove it.
No.
Right? So therefore he says, how does the person who does not have light in him,
Yes.
light being an analogy for that knowledge,
Yes.
is he says, I have done this. I am the doer. I have today acquired a lot of wealth. I have a lot of people who will work for me. I will control them. There is no truth. There is no heaven. There is no God. There is nothing. I alone exist. Am I sounding like Ravan?
However learned you are, and however much of a Shiv Bhakta you are,
Absolutely.
yes, that is still Ravan.
Absolutely. And that, therefore, is an asura. See, what happens? Ravan did tapasya.
Yes.
And Ravan ki tapasya, ghor tapasya, right? To the extent that he chopped off his heads
Correct.
one by one and he
Correct.
offered them into the fire. And he was about to chop off his 10th head, and Shiva manifests in front of him. And Shiva says, stop, beta. I am happy. I have tested you enough. Tell me what you want. And what does he ask for? His ego isn't dead. And so he says, give me back my heads. Give me back my hands. Give me Chandrahas, that sword with which I can conquer this world. Give me powers that will help me rule over the Devas and the Asuras and the Rakshasas and the Yakshas and the Kinnaras and so on and so forth. Right? He's asking for more, holding on. The difference between the Deva and the Asura is exactly that. The Deva says, take. The Asura says, give, hold, don't give. It is mine. And therefore, Acharya says in the Bhaja Govindam, Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam harati nimesha kala sarvam. Dhana, jana, yauvan, ek second ke harati nimesha, ek nimish. Nimish is the blink of an eye. Kal can take away all of this. When we say don't be proud, it doesn't mean you go to the other extreme of saying, oh, I have to be a doormat. Right? Doing your duty as a duty with the pride of the fact that you're doing it well. Again, to use your words, no counterparty involved. In general, when we say pride means what? I have to express it, isn't it? And I have to say, dekha, maine padha, maine kiya, maine lecture. Again, kya ho gaya? Aham aa gaya beech mein. Aham mama aa gaya beech mein. I come across some horrible conversations. You know what happens? People come back and say, I'm taking care of my parents. I feel proud about that. When you were young, when you were an infant, somebody cleaned your vomit and your shit.
Yeah.
Right? And that was your parents. Yeah. And they didn't go around the world telling people, look, I'm doing that because it was their duty. The duty has just changed. It remains your duty. You need to be feeling grateful rather than feeling proud that you're taking care of your parents.
For the privilege of being able to take care of parents.
Exactly. So this is the difference, you see, in our behavior. And that's why this is a lab. Because Krishna is now talking behavior. He's talking of NLP. He's talking of change your behavior to change your internals. Start first giving. It doesn't matter what your attitude is. Start giving. Don't hold on. Then slowly, over a period of time, that act of giving will work on you and you will
become a giver.
Now,
this is also what we spoke about earlier, na? Samir, when we said that when you were talking about the perceived, the experience, the perception, etc. Tabhi humne yahi kaha tha na, that because we wear these filters and glasses of I, me, mine, therefore my pride, my greed, my ambition, my doing, my everything. The moment I find it much easier to work the other way around. Instead of saying that, instead of dropping the my, it becomes much easier to, drishti mein kya aa raha hai, it becomes much easier to see project kya hai, goal kya hai, what is the system need right now, what does
I'll
the
just
project
put it in a
need
different
right
words. Embrace the larger, automatically the small will vanish. Isn't that exactly
what this is. Right? Embrace the positive, the negative will disappear. Very personal, and the story of all of our lives, right? I want to lose weight. You can't lose weight. Like neuroplasticity mein yahi kehte hain na, that focus on the positive and set the alternative pathway, because the brain doesn't know
negatives.
It doesn't know how to not do something.
Correct.
Right? So there's this very classic study, in fact, of these 40 kids, and who were all given the task. So 40 kids divided into two groups between 9 and 12 years of age, and they had to walk up these 20 steps. There was a tray full of glasses of water, and 20 steps they had to walk up and deposit the glasses of water on the table upstairs, right? And so one group of 20 kids is told, here, take this glasses of water, and your job is to deposit them on the, climb up these 20 steps and deposit this tray on the table upstairs. The second group is told, here's your tray, 20 glasses of water, you need to deposit it upstairs. Don't spill the water. Don't fall and don't spill the water.
Yeah. Khatam,
baat hi khatam, right? It's that famous thing that we always do. Na, Samir, close your eyes.
Okay.
Close your eyes, Samir. Take a deep breath in. Samir, take a deep breath in and think of anything. Think of anything, but don't think of pink monkeys. Don't laugh.
Okay, so
don't laugh.
So there's this nice story here with Gurudev. What happened is, this was a Taittiriya Upanishad class, and 15th of August happened to be in the middle of the class, somewhere in the class. And some people approached him and they said, today is the 15th of August, so aaj hum log chutti lete hain. So he said, right, today we shall not do anything. Very good. So then what shall we do? Nothing. Can we go to the river and play? No. You can't do anything. Sit. But remember, you can't sit. Because you are also sitting. In just that few seconds, he taught us the fact that we are always going to be in action. It is our attachment to that action that creates the result with which we get caught in this world. And once we are caught, we are drifting away from that oneness. That is papa. There is no pap as in saying that I killed somebody, right? Euthanasia would then all be sinners. The intent behind that action changes the nature of that action.
Yes.
And therefore, what is taking you towards union? Now, obviously, therefore, what happens is if you have stolen, then your mind has that guilt or that fear. And because there is fear or there is guilt, you are not in oneness.
Yes.
And therefore, it is papa.
Yes.
Not because there is a social code which says stealing is evil. Thou shalt not steal cannot be a social code. It's a code.
It's a personal code.
It's a personal code because I want to be one.
See, which is why we were talking about it the last time that when we were talking about the gunas and we were discussing the navarasa and the bhav with which we do it. These have to necessarily be personal bhav without a counterparty.
Correct.
So, इसमें guilt or shame or ये तो सब contextual हो गया ना फिर.
Correct. So, but the moment you bring the
अपने आप में क्या feel कर रहे हैं?
So, when you bring the context in, you have moved away, right? And when you moved away,
then I've created the other.
And you've created the other, and therefore you are in the Asuri Sampad rather than being in the Daivi Sampad. That is the Vibhaga. That is what this chapter is about. And once we understand this chapter, it gives us a whole context of what are the things that we need to work on ourselves to be able to acquire those virtues, those qualities. And you know what Krishna does is Krishna takes it to action level and actually tells you, just go and do it.
And I'm now going back to the Arjun Vishada Yoga.
Correct.
Where he started with this whole thing कि मुझे डर लग रहा है, मुझे guilt हो रहा है, मुझे shame हो रही है कि मैं इनको मारूंगा, मैं ये करूंगा, मैं वो करूंगा. Actually, he is holding on to everything that is एक तो मामा हम मामा में भी चल रहे हैं और दूसरा he is also holding on to the other, right? The whole fear, guilt.
Correct.
How can I do this to you? It isn't about what I am doing. It's about how can I do this to you.
Correct.
Oh, we have come back. We have almost come back full circle.
Not yet. We've got 2 more chapters to go. But yes, you're right. So therefore, I love the fact that Krishna took us to the climax, and then from that climax, he started explaining step by step on each of these actions. As we go forward, not only will he take these actions, he will also explain these actions in the form of how are we supposed to do them. What is the mental intent and the attitude with which they are supposed to do?
Correct, which is what I was actually going to ask you next, to say that the one extract that we have from this chapter is fearless, be fearless and have purity of intention. And we have agreed that the one way to do that is to not have negatives.
Correct.
Is to focus on the positives, is to focus on the larger, is to focus on not the other, but to focus on a larger purpose in which you are but a cog.
Okay.
It is to give. It is to cultivate the intention of giving. Cultivate the mindset of giving, where you're constantly looking to do, give, offer, build out, build up, and grow. So I am not seeking to make you one with me, but I am offering myself to you. Doesn't matter, outcome same ही है.
Right.
Right. And that is the difference between the Daiva and the Asura. The removal of the Aham Mama by focusing on the larger, the bigger, the truth, by giving, by making yourself fear. And this will result in fearlessness naturally and with the purity of intention.
Absolutely.
Going beyond the ego. Wow, that leads me to the natural question of saying कि ये कैसे होगा, which I'm sure is what we'll answer in the next chapter.
Sure.
But thank you so much, Samir.
Thank you very
for
much.
Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga.
Thank you very much. Hari Iti Srimad Bhagwad Gita Su उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे दैवासुरसम्पदविभागयोगो नाम षोडशोऽध्यायः। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।
na 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 na